Today we are looking at Avatar: The Last Airbender, Episode 6, which is entitled Imprisoned. First things first, Chris, how's it going?
Doing good. I think it's the first time you ever said AKA the Objective Geek. And I started thinking to myself, there's a lot of other things I go by also. I got Buki,
I'm not calling you Buki.
Jethro, Homeboy, Baby Boy, Manager. There's
So
a lot of
many names.
nicknames I have out there. If you ever see Buki 518 on Twitter responding to the Objective Geek, that's just me trying to hype myself up, give myself
What?
likes.
Who has time? Who has time for two Twitter accounts, Chris? Sometimes
I don't know.
when I post the YouTube video under your name, I'll go under my name and like it, and I feel really sneaky. And I always
Good.
think about commenting and stuff. But two Twitter accounts, I don't have time for that. I have like 20
I
or 30
built one
whole
specifically just. I built one specifically just for my YouTube channel,
Gotcha.
which I didn't know that I could just change my
Yes,
Twitter
you absolutely
handle and Twitter.
You absolutely can.
Nope, started fresh.
I wonder if you
I'm
could
I'm like Kevin Durant now. Where he has a hidden Twitters to slide in people's DMs. I guess I'm not sliding anyone's DMs, FYI. But
I wonder if you can like people will like sell Twitter DMs and stuff like that. I wish you could just combine them, right? Like just take them all and smush them together. I don't think that's possible, but I don't know anything about Twitter. I've got like 20 followers and like 15 posts or so. I don't Twitter a whole lot, but I should. Maybe that's why I should Twitter a lot and help the show. Maybe this week will be the week that I up my Twitter game. So before we get started in anything too serious, I did have a couple of things that I thought we might be interested in talk about first.
ooh, news and nonsense. I like it.
News because it's mostly nonsense. Because I don't really like news. Because we produce one show every 2 weeks, and it takes me like 4 days between the time that we do it and like then and actually getting it up. So nothing is news ever, even if it was brand new. But the Dragon Prince is this cartoon that is from the writers of Avatar: The Last Airbender that is coming to
Yes,
Netflix.
writers and some directors.
A couple directors, and they also did Futurama. Is that correct?
I'm not sure on that. But I
Or
wouldn't
there was
doubt
one or
it.
two attached to Futurama. That's only impactful to me because I always say that Futurama has maybe sort of the best dialogue of any cartoon that I've ever watched. I know a lot of people say stuff like Archer, but I think Futurama is better. And then one thing that I actually do see in common between Futurama and Avatar: The Last Airbender is they both have sort of very full circle lore. Like their lore is very complete.
Well, they were both. I don't know if you're about to get to this, but they're both like cryogenically frozen for years.
I was not even going to make that connection, but what an obvious connection. No, I was going to go much deeper and say that the reason that I think I really like both shows is because their lore is so complete. And so I really appreciate that, and I hope that shows through in The Dragon Prince. If it does, I will definitely watch The Dragon Prince.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it anyway. It premieres next Thursday night at 12 o'clock at night.
Like I said, I think I will definitely give it a shot. Hopefully I have this up before that time, so somebody sees that and they're like, oh, next Thursday. And it won't be like that day. I'll try to get it up before
Oh,
then.
tomorrow! What?
Yeah, I will try to do better than that, but I'll
I
definitely
somehow
give it a
know
watch.
about this random podcast, and I don't know about Dragon Prince.
You know, right, you're one of the 3 people that know that we exist, and you don't know about the Dragon Prince. That's very special.
Yeah.
That's highly unlikely, to say the least. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then this won't interest you at all. It kind of will. But Dragon Quest XI came out this week, sorry. It'll be last week by the time this is up again. It came out on Tuesday, September 4th, and I've already dumped like 10, 15 hours into it, which doesn't sound impressive other than that was 2 days ago, and I have a job. So, dumped 10 or 15 hours into it already. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because we just talked about other cartoons, and of course Dragon Quest is from the same artist. What is his name? Akira
Toriyama?
That guy. The Dragon
Yes.
Ball guy. It is from that same guy. And in every Dragon Quest game, you're almost always like, you're the reincarnation of like a chosen one or something. This one is called the Luminary. So, see, that's my bad segue and tie-in. I just need an excuse to talk about it because that's been my whole like past 3 days. It's not just work and no sleep, just work in Dragon Quest XI. It's amazing. I have seen a handful of Dragon Ball Z episodes. That is it. It's something I just, I've always thought about. It just never has presented the opportunity, or the opportunity has never presented itself to me, I guess.
It's definitely worth watching. I don't think it. The thing is that it is the GOAT of anime. But like I sort of compare it to Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan's the GOAT of basketball. But is he really the best?
There's a difference.
Like,
yeah, there's a difference.
Like you can make claims that LeBron James is better. You can make claims that I'm gonna say Kobe Bryant because I'm a Lakers fan. Kobe Bryant's better.
Such a homer.
You can make claims that Bill Russell is better because he won all these championships. Or we
all know that
really
LeVar Ball would beat Kobe with two hands tied behind his back and from a chair from a seated position, Chris. Right now, not even in his younger days. Right now.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball Z is like the Jordan of anime. Like it changed the game. Like everyone became anime fans because of Dragon Ball Z.
I get what you're saying, that Dragon Ball Z can be the GOAT. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best, but it is the GOAT because it sort of turned the corner on what we know as modern anime today.
It definitely pushed the genre.
Which, see, I'm really glad I brought Dragon Quest up because it inspired such a deep topic. I will watch Dragon Ball Z someday, but not in the near future because first of all, I'm watching Avatar. Second of all, it's football season. And third, I've got like 90 hours more of gameplay to dump into this game. So I've got a pretty stacked list. So Dragon Ball can come later.
So there is, I don't know if you've heard, you've probably seen this before, that Avatar Kyoshi is getting her own novel.
I have not heard this. A full novel?
Yeah. Yes. It's not even going to be, I don't think it's going to be even a graphic novel. It's going to be like a legit book with words and just words in it.
Because comics ain't supposed to have words.
Yeah.
No, an actual novel.
But it doesn't come out until like summer of 2019. So it's going to explore her time as the Avatar. I'm looking really forward to that because I really like Avatar Kyoshi.
That sounds like it will be a very deep experience that will be probably very unlike both of our current Avatar experiences in the form of Aang and Korra. I imagine that she is going to be a stark contrast to both. Maybe.
And then this week, or was it last week? The final chapter to this Legend of Korra comic book ended. I really like the ending of it.
So not only did I know that, did I not know that, but I didn't even know that was a thing, so I'm learning all sorts of new stuff right now.
Oh, yeah. I'm just blowing your mind. This is so they come out with these kind of small books. They're like, it's like $10 for this one.
It's not a graphic novel, but it's not a single issue kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do them in 3 parts. So each story has like 3 parts. This is part 3. This was the finale. And these are the first ones with Korra in it. And like the book picks up exactly where Legend of Korra leaves off at. But I really enjoy this book. The art's good. I really enjoyed the last sentence or the last pages of this, which I'm going to quote it real quick. So spoiler alert, at one point, someone's running for president. They win. And they're like giving their
running for president. Please be.
They're giving their acceptance speech. It's not Varric though. It's not Varric.
Dang it!
But when this person is giving their acceptance speech, and Korra just like, I don't know, saved the day from something. I don't want to go through it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But in this person's acceptance speech, they say, "Now I will quote Avatar Aang," and I love this quote. It says, "The true mind can weather all the lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can tough the poison of hatred without being harmed. Though darkness thrives in the void, it always yields to purifying light." The thing is, in the show, Aang never said that in the show, but the Lion Turtle told him that. So I'm guessing Aang not only took the power of the Lion Turtle gave him, but he also took some words of wisdom and spread it. It's almost like a messiah. As we've been saying, he talked to God, and then he went to be like, "Hey, this is what God said. Gave me one sentence."
So in 5 years, when we're done talking about every episode of the television show, we can move on to the comic books. So just a few years down the road. I will try to make time to actually read a book. It's been so long since I read a book because all I do is listen to audiobooks now. So it's been so long since I
Skip,
read anything.
skip. You can skip The Promise. The Promise is the first
That's
one.
the one I actually know
But
about
do
just because you've told
oh,
me about it before. So I'm actually pretty familiar with The Promise.
and then but you do want to read The Search. Search is great.
And then pick up from there. All right, so like I'll make it a stretch goal to get it done within 3 years, so we could talk about it sooner. It'll happen.
Nice.
It'll happen. And then,
Yeah.
so next week, I guess like it's not really news, but next week will be a two-part episode. It's very exciting. It's very good, one of my favorites, and that is all just my segue to this episode, which is not. But I guess before I jump in, I should give you a chance. Do you have any cleanup from our episode last time?
I don't remember. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
If any information is incorrect, I don't know because I probably said it. So it was probably me in the first place. All right, so no cleanup. That's fine. So let's get to a quick synopsis here, which is that last time was the king of Omashu. So they go to Omashu, and it's a giant, amazing Earthbender castle, kingdom city. It's fantastic, and they get in trouble. They get put in front of the king, and he's essentially going to sentence them. And it turns out it's Aang's old friend Boomy. Spoiler alert. I'm supposed to say spoiler alert before then. But yeah, so Boomy had put Aang through 3 crazy trials. It's very exciting. At the end, he found out with Boomy. There's a very heartwarming moment. And then Boomy kind of reinforced a very important message, which is Aang's goal and the reason what he's supposed to do at the Avatar. So it all culminated in something very touching, very important. And then he sent them on their way. And now they have just set up camp outside of a small, totally nameless, as far as I know, totally nameless earthbending village, and just kind of camping and hanging out. And I think the only thing else that I will add that doesn't make itself known right away, but does maybe show through in the next few episodes, and you can kind of sense the start here, is they have been traveling a while. They're low on food. They're starting to get kind of snippier at each other. And I think this episode is sort of where the seeds of that come or start to show through, that they have been out on the road for a long time. And like, so they're kind of starting to get a little tired of each other. They're running out of supplies and that sort of thing. And I will have you take it from here in terms of the first scene, which is where Katara spots an earthbender.
So they're they talk to Sokka about Sokka pretty much want to get some nuts and stuff, and they know it's there's a village nearby, so they go near there, and then Katara spots the Earthbender, and she says hi to him, and the guy like freaks out and runs away, and they're just like, oh, okay, that's pretty much the scene. You're supposed to get from it. Yeah, you're supposed to get from it that he is scared for some reason.
We don't know why, but he is frightened.
Yeah.
So then,
they pretty much follow him into the village where they find him. And at first, I thought he was running into his house, and then like they just walk in his house also. I'm like, gosh, that's rude. But they follow him into his mom's shop, and then there's Fire Nation. Like the whole village is under control of the Fire Nation, and the Fire Nation has taxes. That's like the first thing to do, really, is to tax people unfairly. I mean, that's why we have America, I guess.
The
Fire Nation got the jerk
NBA and sports to now we're getting like hyper political. It's been a very diverse episode for the eclectic listener.
And then it's under Fire Nation rule, and Katara and say, hey, you're that guy who's earthbending, and his mom gets really upset. His mom pretty much like, you can't be earthbending.
She is straight up gonna give him a whooping. Like, she just has that look on her face. It shows through very clearly that he.
And Katara's pretty much like, well. Yeah, Katara's pretty much like, well, what else can they take from you? Like, they're already under control. They're like, they could take Haru, like they took his father. And the thing I do like about this episode is that it's either one of our first reminders that they're at war. Like it's a very significant showing that they are at war, and people are being taken because of who they are. Like they're being taken to prisons or camps, internment camps, whatever you want to call it, because there's something special about them, something unique about them.
There's sort of the first example of, like, say, blatant, I guess, blatant discrimination. Maybe you wouldn't call it a race because all of earthbending seems like impossible to file that under a race. But yeah, it's the first example of there's a clear military occupation of this town. I do appreciate the idea there. Like I said, it's the first time where people are being essentially just segregated based on who they are here. But I don't know that they do a great job of showing it with impact. Like, they just kind of make the Fire Nation look like a handful of bullies rather than like an actual sort of military occupation. And so, like I said, I'm glad you brought up your point to balance it out. But maybe if that's one of my early qualms of this, it seems like it's just a loose gang of firebenders. It's like, oh, well, the Fire
like
Lord
guys.
hates this crew, so he puts them out in some just no-name town where they can steal tax money and pick on people. That's what it feels like at first. It does get better later on in the episode. Yeah, it gets better. It gets more impactful later on, but early on you don't necessarily see that. So, yeah, there's the awkward scene in the shop where the guy takes the money, all the money out of the box, and he's like, here, you can keep the copper ones, which is like half the money in the box. So I guess that was kind of nice. And
I just assumed they were like pennies.
I assume they were like
pennies. Is copper.
It was like the whole quantity in the box was like 3 of those and then 1 silver, and that was the whole thing. So it's like he basically took 1 coin. Something like, I don't recall exactly. But so yeah, you see the military occupation. They leave. There's a little more discussion. And then I believe it cuts down to, cuts to a short ways into the future, if I'm not mistaken. Like later that day.
Also, we haven't mentioned that there's no Zuko in this episode. And that's
until the very, 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 very end.
Yes, yeah, but yeah, essentially there's no Zuko. And there's no Zuko in the last episode. So missing out on the Zooks.
Do you really miss him that much? Do you really miss early on Zuko that much?
I guess that's a good point.
Later series Zuko maybe, but early Zuko, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So essentially, I mean, they're also in a mining village, and this old man gets trapped underneath a bunch of rocks in the earth, and so they try and get him out. And Katara says, "You got to earthbend. Root earthbends, save the man's life." And then, knowing that if he saves this man's life, that he might be taken because if someone finds out, and the man completely turns him in. Like, it's not like he even got anything for it. I thought at least when he turned him in by the Fire Nation guy, I'd be like, here you go. Here's the pieces that I took from his mom or something. No, old man was just like, you know what? I'm just a jerk. I just do this out of the hatred of my own heart.
Who hates young people and their newfangled earthbending techniques. I thought maybe it would have been much better if it was like a story like, I was trapped and then I was rescued by this nice young man, and he points to Haru and they're like, well, how'd he rescue you? And then he's like, he pushed him with his arms and not bending or something like that, you know. This was way worse.
Old man just a jerk.
He's just a mean jerk. That's literally what I have here is the old man is a jerk. That is the title that I gave this.
Old man is a jerk.
It's the title that I gave this scene. The old man is a jerk, and he just turns them in, and that's it. Nice call on that one there. But so he turns them in, and then that's like in the middle of the night. So there again, there's some sort of impactful implications there that they come to the house in the middle of the night to take this kid. That's resemblant of some pretty bad things throughout history. So that's when we start to feel a little more impact of what this occupation really is, because that happens in the middle of the night. And then the next day, Katara's filling up a bucket of water, and she sees the old lady not the old lady, the kid's mom looking out over the horizon with tears in her eyes. Yeah, and that is the best moment, I think, of this episode. Yes, it is.
They did play up the drama a little bit too much. Like, she's filling up with water, she's holding her hand, she's gonna turn, she's gonna drop it, whatever. As much as that's predictable, the mother turning around and her eyes filling with tears, that was a great moment, just to show that these are the ramifications of war. Breaking up families, um, and people being ripped from their family.
Much
So I
more,
really enjoyed that moment.
a much sharper moment than a few bullies taking a few pennies from an old lady in a shop. Definitely a much more pointed. So, but then they come up with an ingenious plan, um, where they are essentially going to find out where Haru was taken.
Yeah, so they know that if you call it earthbending, you're taken to the to some type of prison. They don't know where it's at. So they come up with the plan that Aang is going to air vent. They throw a rock onto a vent. Aang will air bend the rock up. Katara and Sokka will get in some weird fight, and Katara will pretend to earthbend. And then, so they go through with this plan. Katara's making fun of Sokka. They get into a fake fight. And I always love this part. So Aang airbends into the vent, the rock lifts up, and Momo just happens to be standing underneath it like this.
Right there.
Yeah, perfect. Yes. And then that is the exact shot I wanted you to get.
Sokka's like, it's
the prison
not
guard
the lemur,
guy.
it's the girl, you idiot, or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know what he calls him. He does call him a name.
He does. Maybe it is an idiot.
It's like a buffoon. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird name. It's not straightforward like an idiot.
Yeah.
But the
But the
point
guard
here,
is
just
like,
to
the
make it
lemur,
clear,
he's earthbending. And then when Sokka does tell him, like, no, you idiot, like, he's like, oh. Like, that guy believed in magic for a
he
second there.
just for a moment, he's like, "Am I gonna have to start throwing lemurs in jail too? Is that gonna give me a moral conflict?
No
'Cause
way,
I have my
man.
own pet lemur at home, and what if he has bending skills? I'm not just gonna throw him in jail." He went through this whole scale of emotions in like a second.
Exactly.
Yeah, at least in my mind.
That's the last straw. Not anymore, man. Things have gone too far. Sure, they killed all the air nomads. But my lemur, man? No.
This lemur showed him the light. I do need to
And then-
point out here, just to be absolutely clear, that the reason that they hatched this plan, you mentioned they don't really know where this place is, so it's all about getting Korra captured so they can follow her specifically.
Katara.
I'm sorry, did I say Korra? We've been
Yeah,
talking too
fine.
much about Korra. Katara. Yeah, whatever, right? There are two characters that exist. Yeah, so it's not the lemur, it is the girl, and they do get it right. And then they tie her up and take her with them, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they arrive on the source of so many of my problems with this episode. I can't even. You know what? You go ahead. Let me think out my.
So
think out my own way
they
around
arrive
it.
on the ship, or is it a ship or is it a rig?
It's a big rig.
It's a rig,
It is
I think.
a giant offshore
it's a big
rig
rig.
kind of thing.
Yes, made of complete metal. That way the earthbenders can't bend, and you take away the power. I did like that the Fire Nation gets sadly inventive with their prisons, like a lot. Like we see that with this. Like they really strip people of their hope. They put earthbenders in metal prisons. They put waterbenders in prisons where there's no water. They steam in the water. There's no airbenders because they killed them all. Like, they are pretty freaking ruthless when it comes to these things.
I'm gonna try to hold back like my whole rant for like.
Nope, go for it.
No, for a couple, because I need one more piece to fall into place here before I give my whole rant. But yeah, they arrive in this place, and the first thing that you're kind of supposed to take away is that and even George Takei, who makes an appearance in this episode,
Yes.
I forget his name, but he's sort of the warden of the rig of the prison, and he's there, so that's kind of exciting. And then Katara gives this kind of rousing speech, like she's like, "What's the escape plan?" And Haru's dad's like, "There's no plan. We're just gonna survive. Like we got to get through." So she does give a pretty rousing speech, and then that's very exciting. But the point you're supposed to take away from all this is that there's no hope. The Firebenders, if you mentioned, with their very cruel prison, have managed to really break them down mentally.
So that speech goes nowhere. The thing is, they do have this moment in the Last Airbender. I don't know why. Also, it didn't make any sense. So they take this episode and they put it in the movie The Last Airbender, but like they're not even on a rig. They put a bunch of Earthbenders in not even a village. Like I don't even know how to explain it really, but they were on Earth the whole time. So it was just horribly done. And also the fight choreography in that scene is horrendous. I don't know why I bring up the movie. Every now and then but I don't know why out of all the episodes they decided to take this one.
Just to remind you of how grateful you are that the television show is so much better.
Yeah.
Probably.
But even after the it is don't. Yeah. Even if you haven't seen it, come on.
I still haven't. Holding true. Until the Chris Ford directed, Sean Shaler produced version comes out. Wait, do I want that? No, you gotta be the director. I'll just market it. Until that version comes out, I'm not watching any live action movies.
Alright, once I hit the lotto, I tell my wife that I will be producing movies if we hit the lotto.
I got like $20 in my pocket. Just let me know when you're ready.
She was like, the only thing I'll be producing is like, I don't know, straight to television BET movies. And I said, well, you got to start somewhere.
I appreciate that she went into such detail that it was not just straight to television movies. She got very highly specific and went BET. Good for her. Good for her.
So then in the episode, even after the Earthbenders give up hope, Katara doesn't quit. And that is one thing that I do love about Katara. And we've seen this, and not only, beaten down, downtrodden places in the Earth Kingdom, we saw it in the Fire Nation. Like, she has this great line, which in the trailer was delivered so great also, the trailer for season 3. Her and Sokka are having a disagreement about helping people, and that's somewhat always their disagreement. Like, Sokka's always kind of looking out for him and his family, and Katara is always open to helping out everyone. But her line in that, which I'll say it now because we won't get to it for a year or so, is, I will never, ever turn my back on people who need me. And that is the essence of the character of Katara. And I really like that in this one. It doesn't, in this episode, it's not as great as in the episode farther down the line. Also because this episode just isn't as good. But yeah, there's something that I really do love about Katara, that she has no quit in her when it comes to helping others.
And so they gave her like 12 hours to do some reconnaissance, and they're gonna go rescue her. And basically, her not quitting just comes in the form of, they're like, all right, you did your work, you tried, we gotta go. She just flat out says, no, I'm staying here, but I've got a plan. So then they hatch this ingenious plan, which is I call it fighting fire with coal ? Because nope, I gotta wait like one more step. You describe the scene, and then I'm gonna go on my old man rant.
Oh, okay. So they Sokka. Also, this is one episode that points out how smart Sokka is, because Sokka, or who pointed this
strategic.
out?
Let's call it strategic. It
had to have been Sokka.
I think Sokka sort of finished the plan. Like,
yeah.
I think he detailed it.
So he sees the smoke. He's like, well, there's smoke. There's something being burnt. So it has to be coal. I don't know why it couldn't have been wood, but whatever. It's a hunch. You had a 50-50 shot. So Aang is pretty much going to use the same thing he did with the air venting the rock up. Is that he's going to air vent the coal all the way up into and out into the rig. So once he does that, that pretty much gives all the Earthbenders ammunition finally. And Katara tries to give her speech again, saying, "Take your chance. This is it." And then George Takei is like, "No, you fool! Like, they need more than pebbles," or something like that.
He's not the warden. Whatever. We don't even know his real name. He's just George
also,
Takei.
I do love George Takei in this. Like, there was one point where the guards see the flying bison, and the two of them come up to him like, "Sir, we saw a flying bison." "You saw what?" "Sir, we saw a flying buffalo." Well, was it the bison or was it the buffalo? I'm not sure if that matters. I will decide what matters. And then he throws the guy
He's like, I don't.
overboard.
He's
And
like, I don't know the difference, but I'm not sure how that matters.
yeah. And he says, "Wake the captain. Search this place. Sir, you just threw the captain overboard. Well, wake someone I haven't thrown overboard and search this place."
I will say that George
So I did
Takei,
love.
he's not the most convincing mean person in the world, but I was so happy that he was here, and as always, he did a bang up job. He's welcome to come back into every episode if he so chooses. All right, so you just described Katara's giving the speech, and then George Takei says that that's not enough to inspire this crew. They're dead. They have no hope.
Yeah, so then he turns his back on them, and then Haru is the first one to fight back. I do love the scene where Haru is like holding the three pieces of coal and just spinning it. And I love that because it always in movies you ever see someone do that. Usually they have telekinesis, and it's just a really cool image. I think it's similar to how Magneto in X-Men 2, X-Men United just had the three spheres. Well,
The little like bullet ball type things.
Well, Mystique pumped iron into a guy that she seduced, who was the guard
Oh yeah,
at that
that's
prison.
a great scene.
And then, it's a fantastic scene. And Magneto says, "There's something different about you. Too much iron in your blood." And he just lifts the guy up and then rips the iron out of him, and then all the iron just starts like formulating into three small balls, and all he has is three metal spheres to break out of prison with. It's a great scene.
That I know. I mean, this is not an X-Men podcast, and it's been a while since I watched them.
Oh,
but
actually,
I
I'm
can
wearing my
safely-
X-Men shirt today.
That is how appropriate. What a great segue. Oh, you
Yeah, I
actually
know,
there,
yeah.
there you go. All right, yeah, you're good. You like showed it, but it wasn't on the screen yet. That is probably in like my top 2 or 3 scenes of any of those X-Men movies. That is an astounding scene. And I don't remember where we... Oh, I was going to say it's like the same size, those balls of iron that he has. That's a weird way to word that. Are like the same size as, you know, those little the little balls that people use for arthritis, and they're supposed to twirl them around in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah,
what it makes
yeah.
me think of when it makes you think of telekinesis. Makes me think of people trying to like homeopathically cure their arthritis with those balls that they rotate in their hands.
There's a story there. I can think of like being so trapped with arthritis that you develop like you can't physically move.
So
You're hindered,
you
and so then
spark
you
some sort of
develop.
recessive
Yeah.
gene.
Yes, that then because your body and your will makes you want to move things. So just because your body can't do it doesn't mean your spirit or your will won't let you.
We've just
Oh.
come up with the newest mutant, who I'm going to call
Yes.
Arthrido.
Yeah, arthritis.
My new favorite mutant, Arthrido.
The thing is, I come up with random superheroes all the time, and I always think to myself, one day I'm gonna write a comic book, and then I don't.
I say the same thing about a novel, and then I remind myself that, like what I said earlier, it's like I better read a novel before I attempt to write one. Life goals, whatever. But all right, well, I can't hold back anymore. So they get in this fight,
All
and
right.
the Earthbenders use coal to beat the Firebenders. But I have so many questions. That all right, so when you get there, and George Takei's showing them around, and they're all just like beating on metal with hammers and stuff. Like, what are they doing there? What's the point? And then second of all, you pointed out the smoke coming up. It could have been coal. It also could have been wood. Third of all, it doesn't matter because coal is mostly made up of decayed and compact plant and organic matter. It is not a mineral in the same way that dirt and rocks and earth are. It's made of plant. Third of all, why do they need coal on this? They don't need to stay warm. There's firebenders everywhere. What do they need coal for in the first place on there? They're just ruining their own game plan by keeping this stuff anywhere. Fourth, why does it have to be like an offshore rig? Why can't it just be like a steel fortress or an iron fortress? Like, where's the shore even? I don't even know where we're on the map. And what's the rig do? Is it drilling for oil? Are they finding coal in the bottom of the ocean? I don't get why anything here is happening, and I hate all of it, and it's stupid. I hate it so much. I will say I like how the rig looks. Like, it does just look like a big rig, and you mentioned it's kind of a cool catered prison. But I have so many more questions than answers, and it all kind of boils down to that there shouldn't have been coal on here in the first place because there's firebenders, and I don't know what else they need coal for. They can't possibly be mining for it. And second of all, that coal really isn't. Usually, it's mostly, I mean, there's probably dirt in it, but it's mostly plant matter. It's mostly dead organic matter, not rock. So it bothers me a little bit. If you can bend that stuff, you could have just easily bent wood, or you should already know how to bend metal. If you're evolving past regular minerals into organic matter, a lot of
I didn't know that
bother me.
I didn't know that coal was mostly plant matter. That's interesting.
Well, I didn't know. Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, think about like all oils and things like those sort of, what do we call them? Fossil fuels, but what do you call them? Non-reusable fuels or whatever.
Degradable?
Sort of I can't think of the name for it, but those kinds of fuels, that's all from organic stuff. None of that is from Earth, really, per se. But and then also,
oh well,
I do have.
I am making a list of plot holes in Avatar.
Boom, nailed it.
That one day we're gonna go over all the potential plot holes in it.
That'll be like the Cynic's greatest episode. Like all the people on that Facebook group that prefer Korra to Aang, we're gonna be like, all right, you people, listen up. Because we got this whole episode just full of plot holes from the first cartoon series. I do have one more issue with this episode that's not really pertaining to it. It's just part of my old man rant. Is that I don't care for most of the dialogue in this. I feel like the dialogue in this episode must have been written by someone slightly different. Because you mentioned there's a lot of things in here that they say that they just don't land as well as it seems like they should be. Whether it's like Katara's jokes making fun of Sokka, they're kind of worded weirdly, or some of the things that Katara says in her speech, like it could have been a much more powerful speech, but it's worded strangely. So I feel like this episode was written by somebody different than maybe I'm not as used to yet. I know there's multiple writers for multiple episodes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really interesting point, because like I said before, like she essentially kind of gives the same speech. Well, I guess not the same speech, but she gives a similar call to arms in this that she does in the episode season 3. Also, she uses the word elephant in it. I didn't know there were elephants in this world. She says that, not in the speech.
She's making fun of elephant bear or something like that. It should have had another thing to it.
Yeah.
Of course, Momo. What is Momo? He's just lemur and.
He's a flying lemur. Right. He's like a cross between a bat and a lemur.
I guess a bat would make sense. I do like that line where Sokka's like, Momo, those are some big ears, like after Katara bashes his ears. So I do like that line, but overall, like I said, just some questionable, not bad dialogue, but it just feels like it could have been done better or a little more impactfully or something like that.
Yeah. I know we're going to probably get to the next scene when they actually, win the fight and they completely turn the tides. When all the earthbenders have levitated the firebenders onto Cole, they took him over the water. He says, "No, I can't swim." And then he says, "That's okay. I hear cowards float." That line is just weird to me.
It is like it's supposed to be a cliche, but it's. Are you saying that cowards are?
Why would cowards float? Cowards have a better chance of surviving.
I will say,
being thrown into the water.
Like if it's like an old cliche, I usually won't ask too many questions about it. But that's not that. Like that's just a random thing that he says that doesn't really. Maybe there's a basis, like a historical basis, or it's pulling from something else that we just don't know about, like a reference to something we're not aware of. But yeah, that's a great example of just. That's a weird line where even my wife looked over at me and she's like, "Why?" But no, I actually don't get to that part though. What's the next thing I have? Oh, so you just described they dump him in the water, and then the big thing is that they're going to go start a rebellion, even though they just dumped most of their coal into the water.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Get home. So one more issue I have. Not they would have been able to use it anyway because it's not. Whatever. There's enough dirt and coal that I'm willing to let that slide. But anyway.
Okay, good.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't have like a composition breakdown. I just assume there's some dirt in there. But they do go on to say, you know what? We're going to start this rebellion. We're going to get rid of this military occupation, and then the end of the episode is just like Korra and the whole party just like, all right, good luck.
Katara.
Yeah, I said it again. Wait. Let's jump ahead. Let's watch Korra. Apparently, I'm excited. And then, but then they're just like, all right, good luck, and then they just leave. Like, all right, good luck with your rebellion, and then they're gone. So the whole episode culminates in a way that disappoints me even more. Whatever. I don't hate the episode, and we'll get to it when we get to ratings. I don't hate it. I just have a lot of problems with it. I'll delve more in later. But anything else you would like to add concerning how the episode winds down?
No, but like I said, I think the writing in this episode is, and also the writing in the earlier season, I think is a little bit, I wouldn't say immature. It's just not as nuanced as later seasons go on.
Just a little unpracticed, maybe at that point, like still figuring things out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Like when she's talking to her, like, oh no, we have to get Aang. Like, I don't know, just the way she talks when she talks to Haru at the end, like, we have to get Aang to the whatever. Just the way she talks isn't. It's just not that great to me for some reason.
I keep going back to the scene where Katara and Sokka get into the fake argument because it is funny, but it's almost like it should have been funnier, especially where we're coming off of the King of Omashu, where everything's kind of goofy and you're just kind of chuckling through the whole episode. Their fake fight should have been funny. It kind of was, but mostly it just sort of feels uncomfortable. Like I'm just sitting there, and I always laugh when she says the elephants get together and make fun of how big warriors are. But it all rolls a little unnatural, and that was like a microcosm of the entire episode. So, that being said, I think it is time for our commercial, and I'm very excited about this one because there are apparently Avatar Legos out there. So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that they do exist, and it's not just this is a Fire Nation ship, and there was maybe a couple more out there. It wasn't like a huge, massive thing, but there's a couple things, I believe. The bad news is they were all roughly the size, and they were all like $200 plus. And so it's like, yeah, all right, so not going there. So then I looked on, my wife and I have been on this kick of, on this AliExpress kick, because there is a brand called Leapin', and they have what's called Magic World. So instead of Harry Potter, it's Magic World. Just direct rip-offs of Harry Potter sets, like to the piece, down to like you could not tell a difference between this Harry Potter castle and the Leapin' one. So I looked on there, and I looked for like 30 minutes. There are no rip-offs of the Avatar Legos. So I'm going to submit a request in writing to Leapin', be like, listen, I got a request. You see the price of this over here is ridiculous. I need you to throw me a bone. I know the show is a decade old. That doesn't matter. I need you to make me this boat. But long story short, we've been on a fake Lego kick in our house, and I saw this, and it very much excited me. So Lego Avatar Legos do exist. They're a real thing. Also, if you like Legos, go to Leapin'. I forget the website, but just type in Leapin' Legos or something like that into Google, and you will be astonished. So that brings us to the ratings. And this is
before that.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I got a little commercial.
Please.
I guess it's. I mean, that's not really a commercial.
Yeah,
but I did. I think before I said I was working on that poster, and I finally finished it. Which I guess, yeah. So I finally finished it, and it's actually, why am I even showing it like this?
This, you know what? Yeah, we're. It's tough because we're on widescreen, and that is definitely a portrait.
This is unfortunately not for sale.
Lift it up and scoot back as far as you can. Awesome. Fantastic. It's so glossy.
Took me.
I can see your phone.
Oh yeah, because that's like.
Yeah, like a glass finish on there.
Yeah, some epoxy resin.
Nice.
But I did share this on the Facebook group, and many people wanted some or wanted their own copy. And unfortunately, I can't make a copy. If I did, I would. If I ever figure it out, I will let everyone know. and I would probably set it close to cost because I don't like making money off of other people's artwork. Also, it's somewhat illegal, but
I mean, that's probably right. I see what you're saying there. Like it is sort of an original piece, but you're still doing it based off someone else's art. So I don't know how you
yeah.
would make a copy. Like it's not like you can stuff that thing into a copy machine. It would basically have
So
to
what
be a
I
very precise, high quality photograph. Is the only way I could think of.
so I made that is a way. I made a copy. I did one of these with black superheroes, and I made a copy by scanning it onto a printer, and then I put the images together. Came out really good. But I wasn't able to print that either because they wouldn't help me print it at FedEx.
Interesting.
It's like we can't do copyright characters.
That's
But if I
probably a
ever
ballsy.
can come in a chance to make my own prints, then I will sell them. Because one thing is that like I wanted this poster because I wanted a Korra. Actually, I just wanted an Avatar poster, and I did one Korra and Aang, but that doesn't exist, so I had to make my own.
Uh,
Also, I feel bad for Sokka. I accidentally shortened Sokka up. He was supposed to be higher, so he looks like he got a small part of the overall thing.
I mean, I'd feel bad for him, but whatever. He's on the poster. Like he made the final
Yeah,
cut, so good for him. Pun intended. The
yeah.
final cut. If you
Suki did not make the final cut, but
I will. I should have done it this week. I didn't think about it. Sorry, Suki. I will grab the picture that you posted on Facebook. It was a pretty high quality picture, and I can put that in our slideshow next week. I should have done it this time. I forgot.
nah.
That is an excellent poster. I can see why people would want prints. However, that is going to be tough to stuff in a scanner. But nice work. Commercial break. It's not really commercial. It's just stuff we want to talk about, and we need a break before we go into ratings. I needed a chance to breathe in between my old man, my grumpy old curmudgeon rant, and given my ratings, which actually aren't horrible. So first of all, for example,
Ooh,
audio
6.5.
six and a half. It is the lowest I think I've awarded, maybe to anything so far. I don't recall for sure. And again, there's nothing bad here. There's just nothing that exciting. Like even the fight scene compared to other fight scenes isn't that good. It's kind of dull and very quick. I like seeing the rig. The rig itself is cool, but it presents so many questions visually and experientially that. And then there's the music is just the regular music. There's just nothing special about this episode audio visually whatsoever. So 6.5. It's fine. It's just not good. Story 7. And the only reason I even gave it this high because there again I had so many questions. When you boil it down, all those questions are details. They're just details. It is a decent little standalone story. Like it just lives completely on its own. It could have fit just about anywhere in the universe. It just is a nice story with sort of an uplifting, albeit very sort of campy attempt at telling a story. But it's nice. It can live on its own. There again, nothing amazing, and I have a lot of questions, so that does knock it down a few pegs. But it's fine. So I think a 7 is appropriate. And then memorable. This is the lowest score I have awarded to anything. The only thing that I remember about this episode, for the most part, is George Takei and the elephant ears joke, and that's like the whole episode in my memory. I can't tell you most of anything else that happens. As soon as we get off of this disc, I'm looking on the DVDs, so there's only like 4 episodes per disc. As soon as I get away from this disc, there's a chance I'll probably never think about this episode again. 6 might even be too high if it weren't for George Takei. Does George Takei ever make any reappearances?
No.
I don't think so. And then, serious question though: does Haru make any reappearances? Does he
Yes.
come back? He comes back.
He comes back
Once
in
at
at
least.
least 4 episodes. Man, I can name you the episodes. It's Day of Black Sun Part 1, Day of Black Sun Part 2,
Okay,
the Western Air Temple,
he comes
and
back in Western
he
Air Temple.
leaves. Yeah, and then he leaves right at the beginning of the original Firebenders. I think it's what it's called. No, it's called the Sun Warriors. He leaves at the beginning of that one. They split up.
So
So he comes back for like 4 episodes.
I
And he
will
grows a
say
mustache.
that that shouldn't really impact our rating, right? Because we're trying to rate each one on its own. But the mere fact that I haven't
Yeah.
seen this in a few years, but I did remember feeling like Haru came back and had some sort of role. I was like, all right, that keeps me from just flat out trashing this episode, because I can't just rate something based on George Takei's appearance, or not his voiceover work. So that kept me from completely trashing it. It's like, I remember Haru, either he's important later or he's just a memorable character. But we're talking about a village that, as far as I know, doesn't even have a name. Like, they don't even give the village a name in this episode. They don't even want you to care. But whatever. So it is only a 6. That brings it to a 6.6, which honestly, that is the lowest by far I've given any episode. I wish it was a little lower, just because I care so little about this episode. It is saved by the fact that it is a good sort of independent standalone story, or good enough.
All right, my rating, so audiovisual, we're not too far off, I think.
No,
so I gave it 7 on this one. Like you said, there's not really a single shot in this episode that I'm just like, ooh, that's a nice shot.
Just the lemur holding the rock.
The action's not... Yeah, lemur holding the rock. Just Sokka going like... And then, yeah, that's it. I did love the quick shot of Haru's mom turning around with tears in her eye.
That's a good one.
That was great. That's the best shot in this. So that's probably what gave it a 7 to me, because it was a good moment, and it was greatly portrayed. It was a good shot. Other than that, yeah, the music wasn't that great, and like we mentioned before, the fighting wasn't that great. Like, we didn't, like, they showed the earthbending style, but it just wasn't as action packed as it usually is. So just a 7 for audio visual. It's a story. I gave this a 7.5 because this was a constant reminder of the ramifications of war and what it does. and also we didn't mention before, but there was a good moment there between Haru and Katara talking about what the Fire Nation, what this war has done to them personally. Haru brings up that the Fire Nation took my dad, and then Katara brings up, this necklace I have is the only thing that I remember from my mother, and it's the first time that we learn the significance of that necklace. And then by the end of it, she loses her necklace, which is probably why they had to show the significance of it at the beginning. But it's still a really important necklace, and actually the necklace comes into factor a couple episodes all throughout season 1, and it's a little bit in season 3, because then by the end of it, Zuko picks up the necklace. But other than that, the story, the characters are left exactly where they were at before. So yeah, I gave it 7.5, and 7.5 is probably being generous. But I'm generous.
We were really close on that. Whenever we're close, it gives me some validation of like, oh yeah, we're kind of seeing similar stuff. The memorable, like you mentioned before, George Takei voice acting in this is great. Yes. I keep nodding my head like you can see me, you can't see me. I'm nodding my head in agreement. I can see you can't see me.
Yeah, it's true. George Takei is great. I probably really should have given this a 6.5 at the most. Because when I do get to this episode, I think, I need to skip this episode. Like, and it's, and I think that way about a few episodes in season 1, and this is one of them where I'm just like, yeah, I can just skip it. There's only really one episode, I think, in season 2 that I think is somewhat skippable. And there's really none in season. No, there's maybe 1 or 2 in season 3 also. Just 1. I think it's skippable.
Definitely one in season 3 if I'm remembering right. My memory is not that good, but I can probably think of the one that you're thinking of in season 3. You just have to keep watching and find out which one it is.
Yeah. But yeah, so this one is not that memorable besides George Takei. And we do meet Haru, but he's honestly a forgettable character. He was forgettable. Almost when he comes back in season 2, I feel like they gave him a mustache just to make it more interesting.
Hey, we should bring this guy back. We can't bring that guy back. Look at him. He's so lame. It's like, all right, what if I do this? Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It could have been worse. It'll be a icebreaker, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Give him
And
something
the
to
thing
talk
is, it
about.
was like an icebreaker, I think. I think someone was like, "You think I should grow out a mustache like Haru?" Did Sokka say that one time? I'm not for sure.
You know what?
Oh no, he did mention it.
It sounds
He
familiar. So
mentioned
either
it
we were making up the
in a
same stuff.
speech.
Yeah, I think it happens. I think it's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah. So it comes out to 7.3.
And that's probably pretty fair. I think that was on your lower end of episodes as well. So we're close. 6.9
Yeah,
average score. Again, all we're saying here, it's only bad relative to the rest of the series. Like if you just flipped on a cartoon, you didn't know what you're watching, you saw this episode, you'd be like, oh, that was moderately humorous and cute, and there was a moral
yeah.
there. But you stack it up to what we've seen so far, and it just doesn't quite fit.
Yeah, if you were only looking at this episode, you might think, "Oh man, these people are being imprisoned, but then they fight back, and sure they don't fight back at first. But all they need is a little bit of coal, and
They,
then they fight back. And yeah, then you watch the rest of the show like, oh, okay,
never mind, that really wasn't that important, was it? Yes,
yeah,
I think a 6.9 is pretty good representation. Like if seven's a fairly low score, but that's still like a C grade, it's like, all right, you were so close to getting a C, almost there. That's probably a fair grade. And so, in conclusion, and this is where I'm going to mention, so we do see Suko at the end just for a second, and you mentioned it. He somewhere along the line, Katara dropped her necklace, and Suko picks it up, and that is important. As you mentioned, it comes back into a couple episodes. There's one in the very near future where it comes back. So important to note that Suko picks up the necklace, and that we see him for like, I don't know, maybe 2 seconds, but he's there. He makes an appearance. So I have a couple notes in conclusion. Would be that, so I mentioned next episode will be a two-parter, 2 episodes in one. Then after that, there is at least one episode that I think we both hate, and most not hate. There's one episode that we don't love. I think during that episode we should try to squeeze in another conversation, whether it's one of the topics we've talked about on Facebook or just a separate topic of our own. I think it'd be a good opportunity to squeeze something else in on that episode. So if you don't mind thinking ahead to that and something else you might like to talk about. And then finally, I was going to offer, we made a few format changes that saved me some time because I'm kind of lazy, and I think they were fine. But one other thing I meant to do and I didn't, I wanted you to give your ratings first because I feel like I steal a lot of your thunder by giving my ratings first every time. And I think that's the wrong way to do it. If anything, it should definitely be you first and then me tacking on afterwards. So from now on, if you're open to the idea, I'll probably have you give your ratings first.
yeah. Sounds fine. We're gonna alternate, whatever.
I think it'll make...
Alternate in between. No, that's too much work.
I think you are much better at picking out fine sort of key meaningful details. Like even this one I talked about audiovisual, and during that never once did I even remember that shot of the lady turning around, of Haru's mom turning around with tears in her eyes. And that's pretty important. It's like, you know what, maybe you better go first and you'll be able to touch on those things. And then after that, you can come in all curmudgeon-y and be like, "Nah, that was dumb. This is dumb," but with a touch more perspective. So we'll give that a shot next time. And I think that's all I wanted to remember.
Yeah, I don't think I have any tangents to end this one on.
Not our favorite episode, saved by George Takei. Maybe that's what happened. The episode was really bad. They're like, guys, we can't put this on the air. Hold on, I got an idea. And then he starts dialing his phone. Like, who are you calling? Just my friend George.
Some guy came in. Like they still have audio recording of some random guy doing the voices. The thing is, they've gotten a lot of great voice talent, and I know I think a lot of actors like to get into voice acting because one thing, it's really easy. Like you don't have to no hair and makeup, no dress. I'm not sure you even have to remember lines because the lines are right there.
To read them. I've heard it's I don't know anything about cinema, but I've heard it's a very comfortable experience relative to other cinematic things.
Well, I'm sure a lot of times they're just like, and one thing, Andrea Romana, who is the voice director, and she is a legendary voice director. She was a voice director she started with Batman the Animated Series, and she has done really a lot of great stuff since pretty much every single DC animated movie and Avatar and Korra. She has a lot of Hollywood connections, or just a lot of connections.
You made it a whole hour before you talked about Batman the animated series. I think that it's got to be some kind of a record. I'm glad he made an appearance in the show. It's important. If I can talk about Dragon Quest and we can talk about the NBA, you can talk about Batman. That's totally fine.
Okay, Batman's always here anyway.
I don't want to misquote it. So, yeah, he's always watching. Literally, he's right over your right shoulder, kind of right now. There's two of them, actually. He's over your right shoulder and next to your right shoulder. He's all over. Whatever. Batman's always watching us.
There's a great documentary on Netflix called I Know That Voice. I really enjoy that documentary. It's just about, like, it has a bunch of legendary voice actors on it and kind of maybe how they got in or just some nuances of voice acting. I think Joe DiMaggio is the narrator of it. He's the main. He's kind of like the narrator of that documentary. Joe DiMaggio, of course, as you know, is the person who voices Bender on Futurama.
No, I didn't know that, actually. I don't keep up with my actors. I love Futurama.
I'm sorry. Gosh.
You spoil it.
I'm sorry. I completely overestimated your love of cartoons. Well, the thing is, I am the type of person that knows voice actors' actual names.
Man, I have a terrible, like, you could ask me, characters from my favorite movies or anything. It's one of those things that I don't retain very well. But yeah, no, Bending Rodriguez is one of my favorite characters of anything ever. I knew that Joe DiMaggio was not the baseball player, so I was with you to that point. I was that far. No, I'll have to watch it. What is it? I Know That Voice? Is that the name of the Netflix documentary? Excellent.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Is I Know That Voice.
What a nice way to come full circle. We started talking about Futurama, and now we're going to end talking about Futurama. So
nice.
That is important. That's very full circle, just like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Boom, cut. Beautiful.